Shalom. I'm Rabbi Josh Caruso of Anshe Chesed, Fairmount Temple. I'm honored here to be with Gayle's family and to pay her tribute and remember her in loving kindness today. I'd like to take this moment just to acknowledge that most, if not everyone here, has a device with them, and I'm going to ask that you double check your phones to make sure they're either on silent or they're just turned off, so we could just have our service and appreciate the solemnity of it. In the words of Ecclesiastes, a season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for dancing, a time for wailing, a time for birthing, a time for dying, a time for speaking, a time for silence, a time for seeking, a time for losing. The time of mourning is a complicated time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with the recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Gayle's life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people Israel and the eternity of God. I invite you now to join with me in the recitation of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Our cup surely overfloweth today. In fact, this room overfloweth, so much so that we have a separate overflow room for the many who have come to pay Gayle tribute, which is very much in line with what the family has shared time and again about having folks and friends over their homes and having special activities and events that involved Gayle and Nate's greater extended family and friends. It reached far and wide. She was a true Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. And in the book of Proverbs, it very much shares what Gayle was about. What a precious find is an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. Her worth is far beyond rubies. Her husband, Nathan, he put his confidence in her. He never lacked anything. She was good to him, never bad, all the days of her life. Gayle extended her hand to the needy with all her incredible volunteer work. She extended it to the poor. She was clothed with strength and splendor, and she always looked to the future cheerfully. She opened her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue was always guided by kindness, and she oversaw the activities of her household, never ate the bread of idleness. Her children today, they come forward, they bless her, and her husband praises her, as if to say, Gayle, many women have done superbly, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a God-revering woman is much to be praised. Extol her for the fruit of her hand, wherever people gather. Wherever people gather, her deeds speak her praise. The great sage Shammai said, make your Torah fixed. Say little and do much. Receive every person with a pleasant countenance. Make your Torah fixed. Make the things that you do and the values that you share, the life that you live, make it a fixed thing. Say little and do much. Just represent in the ways you act. It says volumes more than words. And receive every person with a pleasant countenance, with a smile, with an embrace. That was Gayle. Today, we have this picture in our minds of a woman who smiled every day. And it was such a pure and beautiful and joyful smile. One that made everybody feel home, connected, received, accepted, loved. And today, many members of her family want to share reflections of her. And so we take this moment and we begin with Gayle's grandson, Jordan, and cousin, Andrew, her nephew, and her cousin, Andrew, who are going to come up and play a song.
Hi. My papa wanted me to sing this because he said this is the epitome of my grandma. How she'd wake up every day. He said she'd wake up every day and fall in love again with the world. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
From Pirkei Avot, Shammai says, make your Torah fixed, say little and do much, receive every person with a pleasant countenance. Make your Torah fixed. Let's broaden the idea of Torah, for Torah means teaching in Hebrew. And the way we comport ourselves in life is our Torah, our teaching to the world about what is important. Our individual and authentic Torah that we teach reflects our values, the way we believe people should be treated. Our Torah is an extension of the core text of the Jewish people. Our Torah is our core text. When Shammai said, "Make your Torah fixed," he meant that we should practice consistency in our ways, in our deeds, in our beliefs. Gayle practiced her special recipe of Torah every single day. Gayle's Torah was about love and goodness and caring, and she did it all with unmitigated grace. She was a class act through and through. And the most beautiful part of it all was that she shared her goodness, her kindness with everyone she knew. This was her Torah. She saw the world in bright colors, judged others with fairness, and seemed to exist on a higher and grander and more enviable plane of living. We all lived here down on earth, but Gayle lived closer to the angels. I'd like to invite two of her grandchildren, Casey and Jordan again, who are going to share some words now. Following Casey and Jordan, we'll invite Marcy, Amy, and Steve.
As all of you know, my grandma has been a guiding light in my life. She exemplified what it means to be selfless, generous, compassionate, and so much more, and has instilled that in me. As I think about the life that she had lived, I can't help but smile. My grandma lived every single day of her life with such gratitude. She truly loved every minute. When describing my grandma to people, I have and will continue to say that she is an angel. There is no other grandma like Gayle. If you met her once in passing and said that you wanted chocolate chip cookies, she would find your address somehow and be at your door the next day without even batting an eye, because that is just the person that she was. She led her life out of love, and I have felt that each day of mine. Between the sleepovers that me and Jordan had at our grandparents' house, having a midnight snack at 8 o'clock, and knowing that there would be Mickey Mouse pancakes in the morning, the family vacations with traditions and memories that will be with me forever. Seeing her smiling while driving down Lander, the sporting events, choir concerts, high holidays, or just sitting around the kitchen table eating her cooking that doesn't even deserve to get a rating because it was just that good. I could always count on seeing my grandma's sweet, loving, and endearing face during those happy times. As much as we are an extension of our grandparents, they have been an extension of us. I feel so lucky that Jordan and I were able to grow up down the street from the best grandparents in the world. I've been shaped by their love my whole life, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Thank you, Grandma, for shaping who I am, unconditionally loving me, watching me grow through the ups and downs, and being such a constant in my life. I hope to be at least half the woman you were. You have made me see the world and people with a more loving lens. Thank you for impacting my heart, and I will never not hear your voice greeting me with, "Hi, my Casey, it's Grandma and Papa, and we just want to hear your voice." You'll be with me forever, and I know that you are somewhere with a rainbow, or the skies are so blue. I love you so much.
I've really been struggling to write something down for today. This has never happened before. Normally words can't stop coming to me. Today they do. Today I am left at a loss. How do I try to wrap years and memories and stories and meals into concise paragraphs? It's not possible. It's not possible because no words could truly do justice to the boundless, endless love that poured out of every pore of my grandma to every single person who met her. I was lucky. I got to grow up down the street from her. She was the constant for Casey and I. Any play, any event, any dinner, anything, we knew Grandma and Papa would be there. I think for a while I just thought that's what all kids got from their grandparents. But no, they were and are something special. My grandma radiated joy for life, every single day. You could see it in her smile driving through traffic. My friends would come home from college and text me how happy they were when they ran into my grandma on the street. She was the cheerleader everyone wanted. From youth theater to Broadway to tour, everyone knows her. And the incredible thing is she was cheering just as hard when I was performing on Broadway as when I was performing in our basement. My grandma had the remarkable quality of making everyone feel equal and everyone feel heard, no matter if she knew you for 50 years or 5 minutes. I think growing up I didn't realize how special that was. She's inspired me in ways I cannot possibly list all of here. Her generosity, her strength, her ability to put others before herself, her ability to genuinely listen and hear you, always. And maybe most importantly, the way to find the positive and lead with love. Grandma had the Midas touch for love. Everything she touched turned to love. Oh, how I'm going to miss hugging her at the stage door after a show. The meals together in our special spots around the kitchen table. Laughing at home movies. Those phone calls saying, I just wanted to hear your voice. And so much more. Yesterday at their house, as I was stuck in the wordless feeling that surrounded me this week, I looked up and I saw their refrigerator that I've seen since birth, covered in pictures of the entire family, so full that you can't even find the blank space. And I noticed something I had never looked at before. A magnet that said, life isn't always perfect, but it's always wonderful. Now that's exactly how Grandma lived her life. Every day had the possibility for magic, joy, and always love.
We are gathered here today because of my mother's enormous heart. That incredible, generous, joyful, pure, incomparable heart. As her daughter, I have been lucky enough to be able to share it with her, and I will be grateful until the end of time. I actually don't even know how I'm going to live without it. Many of you consider my mother to be your best friend. Many of you have known her since childhood. All of you have wonderful memories of her gorgeous smile, endless soul, and easy laugh. I'm struggling with my words. I have been for days. So I'm going to call E.E. Cummings to help me. I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And it's you are whatever a moon has always meant. And whatever a sun will always sing is you. Here's the deepest secret nobody knows. Here's the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart.
When I was in high school, a teacher I had told us that there are 32 angels on this earth. Well, when I came home from school that day, I told my mom I knew that she was one of those angels. As I know you all know, my mom was pure love and pure good. Not a day went by where somebody wasn't telling me that my mother is the sweetest, or they saw her driving and she even had a smile on her face in the car, or they saw her at Heinen's, and she is the best. It makes them feel so good. And so many of you said to me, she felt like she was a second mom to them. And everyone felt that way because it was real. I know she felt the best when she could make somebody else feel better. And as her daughter, I've been beyond lucky to experience this deep love and understanding all of my life. My whole life, my mom just wanted me to be happy and feel good about myself. Through my ups and downs of life, my mom has been my constant, my mother, and ultimately my friend, always there to support me and guide me with no judgment, just love. She was always so proud of all of us. She couldn't wait to introduce me to a friend, or really just anybody that was around her. She couldn't wait to hear a story about one of my students, my kids, and hear about all my friends. I always said her arms were always outstretched, ready to embrace anyone except them and make their day better. She started every day saying what a beautiful day it was and truly lived each day to the fullest. If I have a snippet of her in me, then I am beyond lucky and grateful.
Before I start my speech, I just want to start Ella, my daughter, and her other grandchild, and on behalf of Ella and Ryan, I just want to say how much they loved her and how much she meant to them. And the words, no words today do justice. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for being here. It's truly a tribute to my mom, and it's not really even my place to say thank you because that's who she was, and the love, the warmth, the friendship she gave to virtually everyone she came into contact with. It's been a long year, and the only good thing right now is that she is at peace and no longer suffering. We're so lucky to have our mom with us for 8 years, yet it's still devastating that we were deprived of more time with her. To know her was to love her. She was genuine goodness to the core. I've never seen anyone appreciate the little things in life the way she did. She'd look out her kitchen window each day in Orangewood, and the way she described it, you'd think it was the most beautiful place ever created on this earth. That was how she lived, how she viewed everything. She'd see a cardinal, a deer, a squirrel, and she'd get just excited like she'd never seen one before, every single day. Any greeting card, any little Hallmark trinkets, all these little goofy things that had a cute little positive message that we might roll our eyes at. We always knew that she felt them to the core, which was the amazing thing about her. One of my sisters used to say that her heart was so big that they had no choice but to remove some of her organs, including a gallbladder, a kidney, an appendix, and so on and so on. There are all the cliches. She loved life. She had a zest for life. But she truly lived and embodied that. She was compassionate, empathetic, sympathetic, an amazing wife, mother, grandmother, aunt, friend. These words just don't do her justice. The person I'm describing almost seems impossible, but today is proof. She was the most positive, genuinely good individual I will ever know. She loved and welcomed everyone she met. She'd listen while we sometimes told her our problems or said something negative. But then she'd always finish with, "Tell me something good." The phone calls, the texts, the messages that our family has received in the past week have been truly, truly overwhelming. The common themes, as you can imagine: sweetness, warmth, caring, smiling, welcoming, and chocolate chip cookies. We cannot forget about her legendary chocolate chip cookies. The little secret, ironic thing about them, the only real ingredients that made them unique, her love and the pleasure she got from giving them. Have to admit, though, it wasn't always easy with my mom. Despite all of these incredible things, there were some tough times growing up with her as my mother. And I do have a few things to get off my chest. There was one time in 1982. I could see it in her eyes. For a split second, she was considering the remote possibility of potentially raising her voice to me. You can imagine how traumatic that was. Another time I got back from college, it was a Sunday in 1987. Sure, the cookies were there, but they were definitely not fresh out of the oven. It was a difficult time, but I worked through it and was able to eventually move on. Lastly, I've never been a morning person. She woke me up for school. I wasn't always in the best mood. Never really wanted to talk, and all I really wanted was a simple bowl of cereal. But she would continually offer to make me pancakes, waffles, French toast, eggs, omelets. It just didn't end. And that's not easy to handle as a kid. Once again, I persevered and somehow got through it, though. Then there's my dad. Tap, Ira. What a team they made. He was just telling me, thank goodness he said this yesterday, he was just telling me that his mother said to my mom shortly after they were married or getting married, "I always wondered who would marry my son, the schnook." I mean, who else can put up with this man for 59 years? My mom always said she did a pretty good job raising the three of us, but she wasn't sure what quite happened with that fourth one. Seriously, though, the two of them, I've never seen two people more devoted to each other. Through the good times and the rough times, the depth of their devotion never waned, and it seemed to grow and grow. And they simply always loved being together. It was truly remarkable. Family was always the priority. Nothing made her happier when the family was together, everybody being together. She absolutely loved Jamie, Steve, and Howard. Nothing gave our mom more joy than her grandchildren. I don't think there's anything she cherished more than being with them, seeing pictures, or hearing about Jordan, Casey, Ryan, and Ella. The joy you all brought to her is immeasurable. This has certainly been the toughest week ever. Marcy and Amy and Dad, the way we've supported each other, lifted each other up with the help of others, of course. All of you. Gotten each other through the past week. I cannot imagine anything in the world that could have made my mom happier or more proud. She would have seen this and known that she did her job. My sisters and I have agreed we can never be the person she was. But we will try harder to do a little better. If we could be an ounce of what she was, we will have achieved success. Mom, the one thing I didn't realize before the past year was how strong you actually were. Not to mention stubborn. Jamie's the one who pointed that out to me. I mean, those are the last two things I would have ever said, but it all makes sense. You fought an incredible fight, and of course, in true Gayle fashion, never, ever complaining. If you could right now, you'd say with a smile, "It's a beautiful day in Cleveland, Ohio. The sun is shining, and I'm so happy you're all together."
I just want to welcome everybody here, all the family and friends. I've always felt that our family are like friends and our friends are like family. On paper, there is no reason why our marriage should have worked. Gayle was loud and brassy. I was a quiet, subdued individual. Gayle liked to play a lot of jokes on me and drive me crazy. Well, all I wanted to do was honor her. And this went on and on. Gayle loved to watch sports at night. I like to watch PBS. So on paper, none of these things should have worked, but boy, did it work. Boy, did it work. Gayle was was the nicest person I've ever met in my life. And what a great marriage we had. I would sing to her every morning, and she would say, "Please don't do that." And when she was in the hospital and she was in her coma, she couldn't really make any conversation. She was out of it. But somehow I went up to her and I said, "Gayle, do you want me to sing to you?" And she went, "No." And it was a moment that just made us all hysterical. But I did go up to her at one of the times, and I gave her a kiss. And I sang one of the songs to her that I always sing, and I don't have a voice, so I'm not going to sing it, but just the words express a lot of my feelings. "I'll never stop loving you. Whatever else I may do, my heart will beat the way it does each time we meet. The night doesn't question the stars that appear in the skies. So why should I question the stars that appear in your eyes? Of this I am more than just sure. Our love will last and endure. And no, I'll never stop. No, I'll never stop loving you. To the girl of my dreams, I love you."
Shammai says, make your Torah fixed, say little and do much. Receive every person with a pleasant countenance. Gayle's Torah was constant and expected. She ran the home like a well-oiled machine and did it all with little fanfare. Say little and do much. That is why even Nate finds it a bit curious that she took interest in someone so very much his opposite, her opposite. And as Nate surely put it, on paper, we're never a match. And nevertheless, they connected through Nate's insistence that he meet her. He said, I found her appealing. And they went out to a movie around Thanksgiving time of that year and married in June of the next. Gayle took to Nate's sense of humor and noticed how loving he was towards his little brother Ira. And throughout their marriage, Nate was the front man, and Gayle worked behind the scenes. As the family gathered yesterday, Nate remembered how on one of he and Gayle's many trips, which was an organized tour, he was telling jokes as usual and meeting lots of people. But Nate acknowledged that by the end of this trip, this organized tour, it was Gayle to whom everyone on the trip was drawn. It was Gayle who was at the center. In her small but impactful ways, Gayle's ability to say little and do much carried the day. She never liked to take credit for anything. And once when the kids had a sleepover, yes, she was making breakfast, and food was indeed love to Gayle. And everyone was more happy to receive that love. Sour cream coffee cake and those chocolate chip cookies, the meringues, the mandel bread, of course, the matzo ball soup, the stuffed cabbage, the list goes on and on. But at this one morning when she was making breakfast, Casey added this little ingredient, and she shared that as everybody sat down to this beautiful breakfast spread, Gayle pronounced proudly that Casey was the one who prepared it all. And even growing up in Cleveland and later South Euclid, her sister Rita remembered how Gayle was the gentle one. Nevertheless, you two got along beautifully. Rita and Gayle were famous for their fabulous dancing shows, particularly when they did the jitterbug. Gayle loved all forms of theater and arts. You see, as she was dancing, Gayle's joy for life radiated out towards the world and inspired us to be better and kinder, to greet every person and every day as a gift. Nate said that, indeed, as Jordan sang, she woke up every morning and fell in love with the world all over again. She shared this gift. And receive every person with a pleasant countenance. Jamie reflected that Gayle never aged a day. I would think that most would agree because of the way she greeted every person and welcomed every day. She was known to say, "It's a beautiful day." It was the infectious smile, the way she celebrated your successes, your joys, as if they were her own. Marcy's husband, Stephen, shared that when he fell in love with Marcy, he immediately fell in love with Gayle too. And it was how she made you feel, that she was just waiting to hear your voice, just waiting to listen to your story, support you in your endeavors. It was as if she was waiting for that phone call. And that's how she made her grandchildren feel, as if the smallest thing they accomplished in their lives was worthy of an Olympic medal, a Tony Award, a Nobel Prize. Nate and Gayle were more than just grandparents. They were the next closest thing to parents for Jordan and Casey, Ryan and Ella. As Casey put it, we were an extension of them. They were an extension of us. They took Jordan to his first Broadway show, inspired him to go on to a career in theater. They were the forever constant in their grandchildren's lives, and Gayle made sure those connections held strong. Ryan recalled how Gayle was the first person she would turn to share good news. She said, the world lit up for her, and she lit up the world. And Ella will never forget having her grandma there for her recent bat mitzvah, their special book club, how she was, and I quote, the nicest person of all times. Gayle even played Monster with Ella, a game that wasn't her favorite, but fun for everyone else, even Nate, surprise, surprise, who was always willing to conspire. And Gayle even gifted her prized collection of dolls to Ella as a small token of her love. It was Gayle's ability to think of others, to greet the world with kindness, that initially drew Nate to her, and it was what opened up an amazing marriage and life for both of them. Nate and Gayle were a magical couple. They traveled everywhere, went out 4 to 5 times a week, couldn't get enough of being together. Howard mentioned that their partnership and love was clearly evident from the moment he met them. And even though their union did not make great sense, Nate, on paper, it was clear that they respected each other. Gayle put up with Nate's routine antics, and Nate could just sit back. Look at this beautiful woman. Thank his lucky stars that he had the fortune to know her, to love her. And that's how everybody felt. It's how Ira felt. And that's how Amy felt when she married into the family. Seeing Gayle as a model of what it means to be loving and giving. Even as Gayle began to decline, Nate reflected that their love grew deeper. Even when they couldn't go out as much as they were used to, his appreciation for her heightened. Nate, you were a loving and supportive husband to your bride. Gayle knew it, and she knew she was lucky to have you as her constant companion, her tireless entertainer. You brought a special kind of joy and sunshine to Gayle, and she loved accompanying you on the crazy roller coaster of life. She loved being with you as you told your jokes. She even loved having to do the damage control that had to take place sometimes when you just took it over the edge. But you brought a special kind of sunshine into her world. She was one of those people that indeed lived closer to the angels. Really hard for her to say anything bad about anyone. The closest she could get sometimes was, oh, that's just her way. As Cantor Sager shared with me, and I know she would wanted to be here today if she weren't out of town, but she asked that I share some words from her. She wrote, as so many have said, every breath, every thought, every impulse, every bone in her body was for someone else, never for herself. Her first question was always for those around her, for those she loved, or for those in need or in pain or in distress of any kind. She cared for them. She cared for us all. And that sustained her and made her happy. She seemed to take everything in her stride with wisdom, understanding, and a sense of perspective as to what is important, worthy, and noble in our lives. She was one of those rare individuals who makes this world a better, a brighter, a friendlier and kinder place. Cantor Sager continued, she will be profoundly missed. She was a blessing to each and every one of us, to our community, and to the very concept of a better world. Nate shared with me that one of Gayle's favorite prayers at temple was Shalom Rav. In it, the people of Israel appeal to God to bless all the people with abundant peace in every season, in every moment. And isn't that just like Gayle, asking God to not only offer peace to her, but to all the people, to everyone in her midst, to share and spread love and kindness time and again. Let us sing these praises in Gayle's honor. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Pause for just a moment as we consider the great love, great peace that Gayle bestowed upon all of us. Let's hold on to those memories and those feelings for just a few more moments in this service. Zichrona livracha. May her memory forever be a blessing, and let us say, Amen. If you are able, we invite you now to please rise for the chanting of El Malei Rachamim, the memorial prayer. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamsei menucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashchina, b'malot kedoshim utorim, gezor rakia mazirim, et nishmat Goldi bat Pinchas v'Manya, shoalcha leolama, began Eden tehei menuchata. Ana balarachamim hastireha beseter knafecha leolamim utror bitror achayim et nishmata Adonai unachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar Amen. El Malei Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Gayle Schneider. She has gone to her eternal home. A merciful one, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May Gayle's soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. As we've reached the conclusion of our service, I know I speak on behalf of Gayle's entire family when I say how grateful they are that you are here today, holding them up just as Gayle has held so many of you up in your lives. Gayle is survived by her husband Nathan, her daughter Marcy and Stephen, her daughter Amy and Howard, her brother Steve and Jamie. Her son Steve and Jamie, her grandchildren Ryan, Jordan, Casey, and Ella, her sister Rita, and her sister-in-laws, and her sister and brother-in-law Ira and Amy Kaplan. She was the loving aunt to so many, and we know her life, her memory will always be a blessing. The family will move from this space immediately to Mount Olive Cemetery, where will be the graveside burial. And then family will receive friends after the burial at Lander Haven, 6111 Lander Haven Drive in Mayfield Heights. They will be sitting today until 8 p.m. and then at the home of Amy and Howard Gradell, 25540 Bryden Road in Beechwood, tomorrow, Monday, 2 to 5 and 7 to 9. Again, today at Lander Haven until 8, tomorrow at the Gradell home, 2 to 5 and 7 to 9. If you wish to make a contribution, you could do so to the National Council of Jewish Women, the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, or Fairmount Temple.